Hi everybody, I'm Joey and I have some really fun techniques to show you today using your embossing folders. What I'm going to show you, you can do with any embossing folders that you already have. And so you don't have to have the ones that I'm going to show you, but they're really fun techniques to do and help you get more, more value out of your investments in your embossing folders. I am going to, before we get started, I have to get all the technical things going here. So I'm on my laptop pulling up my video. And it usually takes a while for Facebook to catch up so that I can find myself and see your comments. So that's where I see the comments. Okay, there I am. Doesn't look like people are jumping on yet, but I still need to get my iPad going. That's also sitting in front of me. Because that's where it's right in front of me, so that's where I can see what you're seeing. So it'll take me a moment to pull that up too. And then if I get out of your vision, I can see it right away because it's right in front of me. My laptop's off to the side. All right. Well, welcome. Whether you're watching in person or on replay, I'm so happy you're here. Thanks for joining me. I want to go ahead and I think we're actually ready to get started. Let me go ahead and turn the camera down. If you're watching on Facebook, before I do that, if you're watching on Facebook and you haven't liked or followed my page, I invite you to do that. If you are watching on YouTube, after my Facebook Live, I post it on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, I would also love for you to comment and love to know where you're from. If you're enjoying the video, if you learned something new, what you'd like to see more of, or what isn't helpful, I'm open to all of your comments. So, and also on YouTube, if you enjoy the video, I would ask you to go ahead and subscribe and click the notification bell so that you don't miss any upcoming videos or events that you might want to know about. All right, my friends, I'm going to go ahead and click another button here, which is going to make me, it's a little toolbar. I have to locate it for a second. There we go. And then it'll make me go upside down, but you'll be right side up when you are watching. So I think I'm in the right place. Yeah, it looks like I am in the right place. It's always kind of interesting to see how things all shake out. If I'm in the right place, if I, let me move my phone just a little bit this way. Oops, wrong way. Let's go back this way. I had to adjust my stand a little bit, or my phone holder a little bit, so I kind of got it out of whack. There we go, that's better. Hi, Diane. Beautiful South Dakota, I'm sure it is. I think I've been there once, and I was a child when we went there, but I'm sure it is beautiful there. It is a nice day here in Lincoln, Nebraska. That's where I am. And it's sunny. It's going to be warm but not hot, so we're having a beautiful early summer day today. All right, my friends, we are going to start with Wonderful Thoughts. It's a new stamp set in the new annual catalog, Stampin' Up! Annual catalog, and it has corresponding dies. This is one of these sets that the dies cut really, let's see if I can find what I'm looking for here. The dies cut really close to the words. Is this one? Yeah, I think this is this one. Really, really close. And sometimes they're hard to line up. So I have got the answer for that. I saw it on a video about a week and a half ago. Another stamp company, actually, another person that was making cards for another stamp company, but they had something similar to this, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's genius. So I'm going to share that with you today. And we're going to also talk about a lot of things you can do with your embossing folders. Again, I said that earlier, but this is week 3 of a 3-week series. called Fun with Embossing Folders. And I'm just going to quickly, while people are hopping on, just go ahead and show you some of the things we made. This was all one class. So the first week was just this one card. It was the day after I got back from Norway. So I got back, but this is called the split embossing technique. You use 2 different embossing folders. And if you want to see that video, I'm not going to go into the details of that then. And then this was last week's full-on to-go class. So we used the Gone Fishing set because it's kind of that time of year we're thinking of Father's Day cards and the men in our lives. And so I showed several different techniques, this one, and then this one. On that video, if you look for me on YouTube, you can find me at Joey Hartman, Stampin' Up, without any of the, the apostrophes and exclamation points. So it's just Joey Hartman, Joey Hartman, Hartman, and that you can find my channel. And these are all in a series on Facebook or on YouTube, and then I'll also add the ones we're making today. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. This is also a class to go I'm offering this week. So if you would like to get all the parts for all the supplies for these cards all prepped for you and ready for you to use your embossing folders on, or to stamp and die cut, you can use what I'm using, or you can use whatever you have at home. Hi, Debbie. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Good. Okay, people are finding me. The past few weeks, since I got back from Norway, it's been slow. People jumping on. I think, I obviously didn't do 2 Facebook Lives when I was gone, and I think Facebook, responds to that. I think they quit showing when you come back on. It takes a while to build that back up again. All right, so my friends, we're not going to actually use this size. Well, we are going to use this size, but we're going to die cut it down to the shape we want. But this is 4 by 5 1/4, which is kind of a normal layer for our first layer. And then I'm actually going to start over here. So I'm going to come at the 1/2 inch mark, and then I'm going to do every 1/2 inch. And these are fairly deep. One of the reasons I'm using my scoreboard is because I want these to be pretty deep and dense, and I'll show you why. Then we're going to go over to 2, and I am going over each of them twice just to make sure they're really, and then instead of getting into the corner, I'm just going to turn this around and go over here again to am I right here? Yeah, that's right. 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here. Now you do this first before you do any of your other steps I'm going to show you. So take that one, and then what we're going to do is take our crumb cake ink pad. Hi, Martha. Hi, Kim. Oh, good. People are finding me. Hopefully, now that I've been back on Facebook regularly for 2 weeks, people will start seeing me again. Hopefully. Because usually when I pop on, lots of people pop up that follow me, but that hasn't been true the past 2 weeks. But I think, I'm back in the groove now, so hopefully it'll go better. Now, I opened my ink pad. Now you can, if you use Stampin' Up ink pads, there's this side that has just this little groove that's a finger groove to open it and close it. And then the other side is just the edge. We want just the corner of this ink. So make sure you're using that edge if you're using this style ink pad. And then I'm going to start off of the cardstock, and I'm just going to lightly rub across. Okay, you can't see too much of that. You can see the edge, but you can't see too much of it. But you can always add more. Now, I know my arm's in the way, sorry. And we have a humid climate. It's not super humid today, then I'm going to turn it over. But the ink will stick, so you have to be committed to, how can I do this better? Of course, I'm trying to show you, so I'm trying to actually stay out of the way. And then you're going to get, this. I want it a little bit more darkened because we are kind of going for a wood grain look. So I'm going to push just a little bit harder. And the reason I'm using a bigger panel than what we're going to cut it down to is because it is a little bit hard to hold. you know, this doesn't have to be too perfect, but I do want the wood grain showing through. So I'm going to kind of keep going here because we definitely want that wood color to show through. Now, I went the grain of the way of the embossing lines. So you want to make sure to do that. Don't go across them like this because it won't be the effect that we're going for. But you can see how, because I did it on the side that, you know, here's the raised side and I did it on the opposite side, it kept those lines without ink, which is what we're going for. Okay, so here's what we're going to do next. We're going to take, let me get my die cutting machine out here. Then we're going to emboss this with an embossing folder called Elegant Eucalyptus. I'm going to get rid of all these plates because we don't need those right now. And let me find the embossing folder. So this is what the embossing folders look like. I know I'm really close to the camera. So there's this spray and then there's these eucalyptus that are hanging down. And they come in a double, a pack of 2. You get both of those. And even though they're narrower than a full embossing folder, for what we're doing today, it's going to work really well. All right, now here's the thing. When we normally put our cardstock in this kind of a folder, we're going to put it facing up because we want this pattern to pop up. But on this technique, we don't want that. We want the pattern to pop down. So I'm going to turn it this way. Does that make sense? So it's on the back of the embossing folder, not the side with the Stampin' Up logo. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't mess this up. All right, now I'm just placing it. I know it's going to be really hard for you to see this, and I'm super close to the camera. That's where it becomes difficult when my machine has to be kind of in the window. And I'm trying to square this up with the eucalyptus spray thing. And I have to kind of get, okay, I need to get out of the picture here so I can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to go over here to this side and get this squared up. And I'm looking at the embossing lines that we embossed with the scoring tool and trying to get those pretty even. Now, we don't really have to have it be, well, we probably should have it be a little bit squared up more. I think we're going to go with that just because we're on video, and let's just get on with it. I'll show you how we're going to square it up a little bit better later. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of worried about it. Let me go ahead and make sure that my design is squared up on the paper because the design is closer to this side of the embossing folder than it is this side. Can you see there's about 1 inch here and there's only about less than 1/4 of an inch there. So I'm trying to get it, get that squared up on my embossing folder, on my cardstock. Okay, we're just gonna go with that, but we can kind of adjust this one on our next, on our next step. So trying to get this going here. There we go. Alrighty, sorry, that took a little bit longer than, you know, when you're trying to work under a camera and you have everything in your way, it's a little tricky. So we just need our gray plate to go over this, and I'm actually going to go back over it because I really want that pattern to show. Let's see if I told you the right thing, and we're doing, yep, that's what we want. So here is and that's pretty too. You could do it just like that. But I'm going to show you another technique to do it this way. So, hi Jackie. Glad you could join live, Jackie. Nice to see you. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, I'm going to go get my scrap paper back because once I do this, we kind of have a hot mess here. I'm going to take, I have a spot of Misty Moonlight. Misty Moonlight is a returning color, and so I had a paper pumpkin that used this color. You can use this, or you can use your full-size ink pad. it's a little bit easier to handle, especially for the sake of a video, when I just have a spot. So if you have spots, they're a nice way to do this technique too. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're just going to do the same thing we did with our crumb cake, and here's where the magic happens. Isn't that cool, you guys? I just think this is so cool. Now, the video I saw, they used just a darker brown ink, but I like the look of, I feel like it looks weathered. And I'm just gliding over the top, kind of, again, with the edge, with the corner of my ink pad. So you can do that, as I said, you can do this with your full-size ink pads too. For the sake of video, I'm just using my Stampin' Spot. But you saw how I did it with the crumb cake, so it works with a full-size ink pad as well. Okay, I just think that's so cool. This is called wood burning technique. I think something like that. Let me make sure I'm calling that the right thing. Hang on just a second. Oh, good, Diane. I'm so happy you're going to try it. That makes me very happy. Let me look. I want to make sure I'm calling this the right thing, because I don't want to steer you wrong in case you're looking for other samples with it. Embossing folders. Sorry, I'm looking up on my, what is this called? This is called carved wood technique. So this is the carved wood technique. All right, now what we're going to do is just go ahead and we're going to die cut this, and then we can kind of control where it's centered or not. There we go. That'll work. I think this is the size I used. Let's go ahead and grab a piece of, I'm going to not frame this, but, well, yeah, kind of frame it with, let me see if this is the right size, with a piece of early espresso. Yeah, that's the right size. Okay. Now, one of the reasons I'm cutting this down more, now you could obviously use the next bigger frame if you wanted to use this set of framelits, or you could use any framelits that you have, any dies that you have, to make it a little bit bigger. And so that shows the whole thing. Maybe we'll just change up the design and do it this way. And then I'll show you the difference. I better go ahead and do it like I did the PDF, because I've already started the PDF and I just don't want to show you one thing and then you get the directions and go, this is not what she did. That doesn't look like her card that she showed us. All right, so let's go ahead and let me see what else I have to die cut so we don't, Martha, Jackie, it is, and look how easy it is. It's super easy. You honestly could do this with any kind of flowers or leaves or anything. I particularly like this one because I think that actually looks like a carved wood technique, but you know, experiment with what you have. One of the keys is, as I said earlier, make sure these half-inch lines are scored well into your paper, because that's the way you get it to look like wood panels. Does that make sense? I just love this technique. I didn't think it's such a wow. And I didn't have time to, since I'm showing 3 different techniques today, I didn't really have time to you know, experiment with a lot of different colors. Well, that's not completely true. Let's see if I can find my other sample. I'll find it someplace here. I'll show you what I try. I also tried to do it with coloring in colored pencils. I'm going to go ahead and let's see. So what I did is, hopefully I'll see my sample here somewhere. Let's see. Maybe I have it in my bag of goodies here. No. Shoot, I don't see it. I intentionally wanted to keep it so I could show you what else I did. Oh, well. We'll go ahead with this, and maybe I'll post it on my Facebook page or my blog. I've been using my blog more, friends, createwithjoey.com. And in fact, you can find all the information to get this class for free on my blog. I actually got it all posted. yesterday. Now I'm going to try and get this flurry in the center here. Try and get it centered. Okay, now lately I've been using, I bought this on Amazon. Let me grab it. So it's Post-it labeling. So it's called Labeling and Cover-Up Tape. And I don't even know how wide it is, but you can use it like washi tape. If you have washi tape, you can use that for the same reason. I'm trying to make sure that my lines are squared up here. But I'm finding it nice to, it's a little bit wider, you know, so my fingers can get around it a little bit easier. Okay, since I really don't want this to move, well, it's not taping down very well, but I probably should have had a little bigger pieces of tape. Then we'll run it through. And I'm die cutting with the deckled rectangle. Hi, Barb. Barb, it is so cool, and it's easy. And as I said early on, for those of you that are just jumping on, you can do this with any embossing folders that you have. So I'm going to just gently pull off the Post-it note tape, whatever that's called, Post-it tape. And then we have our deckled, our main piece here. Alrighty, so we're just going to finish this up with, we're going to mount it on a piece of, this is, I think, 3 1/8 by 4.5 piece of early espresso. One of the reasons I did cut it down to this size. Now, the other thing you could do would be to cut the whole thing in half and use half on one card. You know, this would be half, which would be pretty, but you'd have a bigger, obviously a bigger piece. And then you could use it on the other side. We're going to do that on one of the embossing folders we're using today. Not this exact card, but similar. Okay, so now let me grab the rest of my card pieces. And let's see what we've got. So in this set of dies, there's this flower. We're going to use that for one card. And then there's also these 2 hearts. So you not only get all the dies that can, and then there's these 2 label dies too. I really like this. I've just started playing with it, as I said, because it's new. And you know, I feel like when you really get to start to use a set of dies, you start to really see the value you have in them. And otherwise, if you're just looking at them and you haven't started to try them yet, then you're kind of not seeing the full potential is what I'm trying to say. At least that's true for me. All right. For today, to keep going with this, because we have a lot to show you today. On my sample card, I made this 4 1/4 by 5, 4 by 5 1/4. Nope. All right, let's say it again. On my sample card, I had it 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And out of just absent-mindedness, when I cut this one, I cut it at 4 by 5 1/4, but I'll show you my other one. I actually like this a little bit better with this designer paper covering the whole piece of the card. Then you don't get this second layer, but it's okay. Maybe it'd actually be better on an early espresso card. Let's try that. Because really, okay, let me pull it out here. Let's see if we like this better. All right, I have to kind of pull this up, so hang on. If you pull your adhesive up fairly quickly after you put it down, you can usually get it up. Okay, so what do you think of this? Do you think the early espresso? I think that's better. Or do you think the Misty Moonlight? As I said, let me show you my sample card. I'll show it to you in a minute. I think this doesn't look as, I don't know. I don't think it looks as good. What do you think? Yeah, Barb, I do. I know. I just got this tape. Well, actually, I've had it and I just haven't used it. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and do some other things for this card. And you let me know in the comments whether you like it on the blue or you like it better on the espresso card base. Okay, let me know. Okay, now we're going to take a piece of Very Vanilla. And we're just taking a scrap. And then we're going to go back to our crumb cake ink. Early espresso. Jackie likes the early espresso better. And I'm going to do the same thing. Again, this edge, not this one. This edge on the very edge of it. And I'm going to go over my cardstock again. And I'm just, now this is going to be really hard to see on video. It's probably just not going to, oops, well that's not too hard to see. Okay, it just puts down a little layer of crumb cake. Then, now I'm going to go ahead and cut it, as opposed to trying to do that to a 1/2 inch strip that you're trying to hang on to. And I'm just going to cut this down to 1/2 inch. Here's the 1/2 inch up here, 1/2 inch, and then I don't care how long it is because I'm just going to trim it at an angle. And the reason I did this, you know, if you watch me very much, I'm not really much of a vintage stamper, but the stark vanilla without any ink on it against this, I just didn't think it worked very well. Barb, early espresso. Kim, early espresso. All right, girls, I think you're right. I think early espresso. And then I'll show you my blue one so you can see what it looks like if you, I might just freshen up the adhesive a little bit so you can see what it looks like if you cover the whole front. And one of the reasons I wanted to show this paper is the Earthen Elegant, something like that. I don't have the stamp set or the suite, but we're having a sale on paper right now, so I thought I should show some paper. This is the pack of paper. So we're going to use this pattern a little bit later. So this is one side of it. Here's the one we're using today. And this has kind of an ombre effect. This has kind of a paint drip look. And this is Misty Moonlight with, I think, Pebble Path. And then if you turn it over, then you get a little bit more color on this side. And here's just a pattern. And it does look like earthenware. I mean, it all goes with the stamp set and the suite of products that was designed for, obviously. Okay, so that's the paper. And all our paper, except for specialty paper, is on sale for 15% off right now. So it is a good time. If you're a paper lover like I am, it's a good time. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little bit more on this. Now, I showed you earlier that there are 2 dies in here that are hearts. So I already die cut that just to save time on this video because these embossing techniques, they take a while to show you. So I didn't want you to, you know, be going to get your sleeping bag so that you could continue to watch with me. Oh my goodness. It's always kind of hard to decide on what to show. You know, I'll just ask your opinion. Would you rather just see one card and have a shorter video, or would you rather see several cards and have the video be longer? I really, really want to know that. So, and it helps me when you comment. It helps me know how to help you and what to do better. So I would love to know what you prefer. If you prefer the whole class video like I'm doing today, or if you like a shorter 20 to 30 minute video just showing usually one card. That's really about all you can get done in that amount of time. Okay, now I'm going to grab my stamp here from that Wonderful Thoughts stamp set. And then I have to also get back to my Misty Moonlight ink. This time I'm going to use the full-size pad. And we're going, oh, thank you. Thank you, Martha. That's really encouraging. I had the nicest comment on YouTube yesterday, just someone that was just so encouraging. She said, I just love your cards. I love your online classes. You know, I just appreciate people that take the time to comment, because I really don't want to waste your time and mine on things that are not helpful to you or not enjoyable. I'm here to show you things you can do, not just show you things that I can do or that I've done. You're wonderful, you're loved, and you matter. I don't think there's a person in the world that would love to get this card. And I don't really think this is a particularly feminine card. I think this would go to a guy too. Alrighty, so then I'm just going to trim this. You know, if you've watched me, you know this is my favorite way to do greetings that are skinny. I just put them on a 1/2-inch strip, and then this is going to go over to the side like this, and then I just clip the ends. Alrighty, so what we're going to do to make this easy is just put a little strip of adhesive right down the middle. If I was taking more time with this, I would take, hi Pam. Oh, Jackie, you love both. You like either long or short, it sounds like. You're a very faithful watcher, Jackie. I do know that. So I know you watch whether I do long or short. Okay, I'm going to put this over there. And a lot of you that are commenting, I know you're the same. You watch my videos pretty much consistently. Okay, there we go. Now, I put that on the back so I can just go ahead and grab some dimensionals. And oh, you guys, we have the prettiest embellishments used today. And if you put in a $50 order, you'll get a whole pack of these embellishments. I think they're called Tinsel 3-pack, which means there's 3 color. I'll show you. We're going to use them in just a second. So with a $35 order, you get all the supplies for this class. And you get a PDF tutorial. There's that. So the PDF tutorial isn't done yet, but I did start it. So you get, this is what you get. You get a photo of all the completed cards, and then you get close-ups, and then you get detailed instructions, and then you also get a list of supplies. I didn't get that far on this, so I just printed what I had. That's for a $35 order, but you have to use the host code, so make sure you use the host code. And actually right now, I'm going to go ahead and click in the link that has the host code embedded. So if you're going through the comments, you can find this host code. Or you can just take a screenshot right now and then put in your, that host code is tied to me. Here we go. Here's the host code for a free class to go. And I'll put it in. Okay. There's your link. Alrighty, then let's go ahead, and for these cards I'm using some linen thread. We're actually going to start a new one. Gosh, I'm sorry, I should have had this started. You know how sometimes it's kind of difficult? Although here, I could do it right away. Those of you who've been watching me the past couple weeks, I've been using a spool of linen thread that half of it had come off, and I wasn't willing to throw it out or get it pulled out in knots, so I kept working with it till, you know, pulling on it gently, trying to work with it for several weeks as I'm using linen thread. And I'm proud to say I didn't have to throw any of it out, and none of it got in knots, which is kind of a miracle if you saw what was happening over the past couple videos. Okay, grabbing a mini glue dot, and I'm going to put this in. Now, I will send linen thread with your card kit, but the gems, you'll only get those with a $50 order, but I'll send you, oh, these are the gems. So they're called Tinsel Gems 3-pack. This is Fresh Freesia. This is, oh gosh. This is Misty Moonlight. And this is, what's a Pretty Peacock? Or the one that's just lighter. Lost Lagoon, I think. We're going to use these 3 today. Okay. So there's our card. Let's go ahead and put some of these on while we've got them out here. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool that just took out the end that I don't want, and we're going to put some of these gorgeous. These are sparkly. I don't know if you can see them, but they have little bits of glitter in them. Now, you might argue, maybe it's not for this card. But if Diane's still on here, you know, Diane, we do bling. We don't really differentiate of who's going to get this card, or let's see. I'm going to put this one. I want this one to show a little bit more. Let's go right on the edge of the heart. They do kind of disappear, but still, you know, when you move the card, you can see them. All right, we can't finish this card without a panel of Very Vanilla, which I thought I had on the inside, because obviously nobody can write on early espresso. So let's go ahead and cut a piece of 5 1/4 by 4, because we put our vanilla layer on our Misty Moonlight card. So we just have to get it inside for the card. I use my cards. I send my cards and I sell my cards. So I finish them. Normally I would stamp a little bit more on the inside, but today we're after embossing techniques, and I have showed you the embossing techniques, so we're going to move on. Bling is needed in our lives. I love that, Diane. You know, I always love what you have to say about bling, because we're sisters in bling. With doing one card, you can be more detailed for that need. I like your videos that have 2 or 3 with lots of ideas and tips. So maybe a mix of those. Yeah, I like that, Barb. And really, that is what I've done so far. I have done a mix. So my first week back from Norway, we did 1 card, because that's really all I can manage. And I'm proud of myself for actually getting online that first week, because we had major jet lag. I just can't even tell you. Okay, there's our first one. Let me show you the blue one. So this is the one with, you know, that I did on blue, and then I went to the edges. And I think it's really pretty like this. I think it shows off the paper. But this is fine too. I would have done it like this. I just went on autopilot and cut it. So if I had to choose one or the other, I'd probably choose the full front of the DSP. Okay, let's move on. I've got more to show you. So I'm going to grab, this time, I'm going to grab a folder called Painted Posies. Now, usually you can see, I know there's going to be glare on this. Oh, it looks like you can see it pretty good. It's really hard to actually see in the embossing folder, because, of course, it is transparent. So, well, not transparent, but, you know, you just can't see it very well. And then I'm going to take a piece of vellum, which hopefully I got out, and looks like maybe I didn't. So let me just grab a blank piece. And then we'll just cut it with our paper trimmer. Cut this 5 1/2. I like the idea of being optional of if I do 1 card that maybe has more detail, or several. What I really like to do is show you the value of a stamp set by showing you multiple things you can do with it. That, you know, like this stamp set and these dies, because that's what, you know, that these are all going to be really different. Plus your embossing folder. So my goal is, first of all, to help you get ideas to use things you already have. And then second of all, to show you lots of things to do with 1 stamp set instead of dies, instead of multiple stamp sets. Sometimes, you know, when I'm doing a catalog, new catalog party, I'll show multiple stamp sets and multiple products. Whenever I am doing, you know, kind of my weekly video, for the most part, I like to showcase 1 stamp set and 1 set of dies. So you get at least 3 ideas of what you could do with 1 stamp set and set of dies. Okay, so there, we're just doing this on vellum. And That's going to be hard to see, but I did grab a piece of Pebble Path cardstock to show you. Okay, isn't that a beautiful embossing folder? I just think it's so pretty. Okay, now if you know me personally, you know that I actually love to do simple monochromatic cards like this. But today I'm showing you things you can do. So you can do it like that. You can just put vellum on a piece of cardstock and put a greeting on it. I think it's actually really gorgeous, just the way it is. But we're gonna fancy it up. So I'm gonna get out my blends markers, and I'm going to, what have I got? Mossy Meadow, and I've got, what is this? Moody Mauve, yeah. Now, I'm going to, now this is a technique, you know, you're not going to sit down and make this 10 minutes before you need it. So I'm just telling you, you need to give yourself some time. So this is the side that is raised up, and I'm going to the back side that isn't raised up to color this. Now these little lines, this image for the leaves, what I'm doing is I'm kind of just letting the tip, and I'm using the fine tip end of my marker. I'm just letting the tip of my marker kind of follow this outline along here. Otherwise, this is kind of a hot mess. So I know this is time consuming. And then I'm just gonna follow, see, is that a flower? It might be a flower. Let me look at my finished card so I can see where the flowers are. Because of course on Facebook, no, that's not a flower. Okay, so I'm just gonna follow this around. I actually meant to have this completely done, but I didn't get that far, but I'll show you. We're not gonna do the whole thing, but I wanted to show you. So I kind of just let the tip glide along there. Then, this is the biggest leafy branch here that we have in this embossing folder. Then I'm gonna go back, and then I'm just gonna scribble on the top of it, because you'll see when I show you from the front, it's pretty forgiving, but that outline is not forgiving, so you don't want to make a hot mess around your outline or you'll be unhappy with it. So take your time, let the tip of the marker guide you through the design, okay, like so. And then I know there's some leaves in here, so some stems, so I'm gonna kind of follow along here for the stems. And as I said, don't be worried, we're not going to do the whole thing. Same thing here, I'm letting my pen tip just follow along those leaves. And I would suggest putting a piece of darker cardstock underneath your vellum so you can see just a little bit better where this all goes. I just don't want to get green flowers. I want to make sure I've got, here's another stem that comes this way. That's a flower. Here's a stem. Here's a stem. We're going to get a little bit of this flower, but not too much. And then I think these are leaves. Again, I'm just letting my tip glide along those little places right there. So this is a leaf. We can do that leaf. Okay, that's okay. There's a little bit more here. So let me do this one. Gliding along. Oh, I guess I am going to end up coloring the whole thing. Yeah, I guess I will. Okay, so, okay, here's another, I think that's a blossom. Okay, so I'm going to show you from the front. Hi, Kathy. Oh, no, yeah, be sure you do, Kathy, because I show some cool things at the beginning. So can you see how this is pretty forgiving on the front? Now, obviously, it's not that interesting without some color on it. It looks dumb. It's not finished, though. I have another leaf here. And this, I think, is a leaf here. I was watching a video earlier today on, I think if you've watched me before, you've heard me during COVID say, during COVID, not that we don't have COVID anymore, but, you know, initially, I started going live, I had no online presence in my business. This is Moody Mauve, and again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm kind of following the outline of the flower edge, and then I just fill it in. Anyway, I started watching makeup videos because I would put makeup on, but I watch my video and think, I look like I don't have any makeup on. My features are just kind of fading away. Anyway, so then I've got on this kick of watching makeup videos for mature women. Something that looks great on a 21-year-old is not the same that looks good on a, let's just say, a non-21-year-old. But this morning, this girl was talking about teaching an eyeshadow technique for older women, and I shouldn't say older, mature women. And she said, now this looks like a hot mess before you get done. So don't wash it off before you get to the final steps of how to do it. This is kind of that same idea, that it kind of looks like a hot mess until you actually get it done. But I'm just about done coloring. It made me laugh, and it made me think of this card. So again, I'm just following the tip of the outline with my marker and then coloring in like so. Okay, aren't those two colors pretty together? I think they're really pretty. I haven't actually even like it on the pebbled path. I missed some of my leaves. Oh, I don't want that color. Some of my leaves here. Right here below. Okay, so this isn't actual perfect coloring, but we're okay. Probably need a little bit of this. We're going to cut this in two, but we need a little bit. Now, for my original one, you could, well, for your original one or my original one, I colored the whole thing and then I cut it in half. I'll show you. We make it. I'm going to go ahead and do this whole flower, although we're going to cut it. Okay, there you go. Okay, so, you could even just do it like this. I think it's actually really pretty that way. It does show up better under white. And we're going to grab a white panel, and this is going to go like this. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. All right, and then we're going to put it with designer paper. All right, this is cut. The vellum, oh dang, I didn't write what my vellum's cut at. The vellum is cut at, this is a practice piece, 2 3/4 by, we need the inside of this, 2 3/4 by looks like 4, 2 3/4, well, maybe 2 7/8. 2 3/4. No, 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. Oh, when you're on Facebook Live and you have to think, it's hazardous. It's, it doesn't always work out. All right, let's go to 2 5/8. I'm going to line this up. Here's my 2 1/2. I'm going to come over here and just go. Actually, I want more of this flower, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I get more of the flowers. No, and the reason I'm going to do that is because then I don't have half of it. I don't have half of it for another card, so we'll just go with what we initially talked about. So this is 2 5/8. Yes, 2 5/8 by, I think we said 3 7/8. Oops. Well, let's be sure of that. Let's not guess. Yep, 3 7/8. Okay, so all right, I think I've got enough up here. I can cut this off without losing too much of the flower. So there you go. Okay, now we're just going to put this on a panel. That's basically all there is to it. Now, I know it takes time, but if you like to color, see, and then I have 2 more of these that I can finish and put on cards as well. if you like to color, this is a fun thing to do, and it's just so pretty in person. It's delicate and yet striking at the same time. All right, my friends, now here's the issue with vellum is you have to watch what you're doing with adhesive. So and my comments have stopped, so if you're making comments, thank you, Pam. Hi, Cheryl. Oh, well, maybe people are still coming. I'm seeing a few comments. I'm going to put some mini glue dots where I don't think they're going to be very noticeable. So, this is going to be pretty well hidden by the ink and the pattern of the embossing folders. But I'm not going to put a glue dot like in these open places because that will show. And we don't want it to show. So I'm probably putting down more than definitely more than if you were adhering cardstock to cardstock. But with vellum, we want it to be secure. And we don't want the adhesive to show. I'm going to go kind of right along the edge here. And that should be enough. I've got quite a bit on there. So then we can go in here. This embossing folder is just so pretty. There's so many things you could do with it. What is this one called again? This one is called Painted Posies, 3D embossing folder, Painted Posies. I used Moody Mauve and I used Mossy Meadow for the cardstock. Now, I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to teach you how to do this die cutting of these teeny words so that you never have to be frustrated that you didn't get your white edges around the greeting even again. So, let me show you how we're going to do this. We're going to grab our die cutting machine, and then we have to I'm grabbing some plates that are much more clear. Forgot to pull those for you. Okay, so we're getting our plates ready. Now, we're going to use this greeting. It's thinking of you as the greeting that we're going to use. And I'm going to grab it. Where is it? Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, now, I already know, well, I should say that. I think I know that this is the right die. Thinking of you, because I had it out yesterday. Yep, that's right. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a random piece of cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this out just with the die. Okay? Just going to do it like this. All right, so let me grab my other plate so you can see what we're going to do here. I'm going to cut this out, and what I'm doing is making a guide for the words to fit through. Okay, so I've got that. Now we don't need this piece. That's not what we need. This is the piece that we need. Then we're going to, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I will now find my stamp, and then we're going to use Mossy Meadow ink because that's the color we used for our blends markers. So we're going to grab the Mossy Meadow ink, and we're going to just grab a piece of white, scrap piece of white cardstock. I don't need a very big one. Now I know this is kind of a hot mess here. Let me just kind of move that out of the way a little bit. And then I'm going to stamp my greeting like so. Okay. Then here's what we're going to do. We're going to, let me close this before we have a disaster. We're going to grab our die back. And we're going to put this over the top. I have to turn it towards me or I can't do it. Okay, so we're gonna line this up like this. So can you see, because I have kind of a dark frame around this, I can tell how I'm gonna even up all of my margins around my, it's moving around, which isn't helping me too much, but so you can see that I can get it lined up exactly. See how my margins are all pretty even? It might not be 100%, but you get the idea. So then I'm just, well, you know what, you guys? Well, this works like this, but here, you know what'll work better? If we have a smaller piece. So there we go. That's going to work a little bit better, even smaller. I just learned this, so I'm still kind of learning the tricks to get it right. So I'm going to line this up again, like so. Then I'm going to put this here to hold it shut or hold it closed. And now I'm going to take my die and I'm going to, here, let's use a little bit more tape. Grab a little piece of tape here. Tape it down again. And then now I'm just going to place my die in here. And then I really don't want this to move, so I'm going to grab one more little piece of tape. Okay, now when I die cut it, it's going to be perfect. I struggled all year last year with another similar set like this and just had such a hard time getting it lined up. And I saw, not a demonstrator, not a Stampin' Up person, I saw another video on YouTube that showed this, and I went, oh my gosh, that's just mind-blowing. I mean, look at that. Oh my gosh, seriously? You guys, I don't know, maybe you've all known this and you've been doing this all along, but I had never seen it before, and I went, oh my gosh, that is literally brilliant. Alrighty, we're gonna grab our Designer Series paper, and it's that same Earth and Elegance paper. And for my first card, I used the back side just to kind of make sure the flowers popped, but I think maybe for this one we might try the other side. Let's try that today and use the other side and kind of bring back in that mauve, moody mauve color a bit. Again, it's one of our new ink colors this year. Stampin' Up always adds 5 new ink colors to our line of inks every year and retires one. So, oh, we're going to make this one on the front. So we just lost 5 colors and then they added new colors, and then next year we'll have another new 5. And the ones that started a year ago will retire. So like that. All right, so then we're going to grab, what do you think of this card, guys? Do you like this one? Did you learn something new? Did you know that technique of writing? Oh, good, Pam. Good. I'm so happy I'm helping. I'm trying to be helpful with this because I went, oh my gosh, where has this been? And I did not figure it out. I saw, you know, as I said, I saw someone else do it. So I just think this is so pretty, such a pretty technique. I hope you guys will try some of the things I'm showing you, and I hope you will tag me so I can see what you're making as well. I'm going to take mini glue dots because, you know, if you're not using what I'm showing you, then I want to show you something different and keep trying to find things that are helpful. I'm taking mini glue dots here just because it's so tiny. And putting this, let's see, let's put this one on this side. And then we'll grab our linen thread again. This has been a very fun series for me to design for you because I just haven't done embossing folder techniques for a while. I often pull them out to put them on the background of a card or an element, a shape of some kind. But, you know, to actually use them for a technique, I haven't really done. Oh, oops, I did this wrong. Okay, we want a bigger bow for this. And then we're going to have to do a little destruction, but it wouldn't be one of my videos if there wasn't some destruction along with the construction. So I'm going to gently pull this off. It's on vellum, and I didn't push it down too far. And I'm going to actually get rid of these too many glue dots, and then we'll replace them. And I'm going to put just a row of adhesive down here. Then I'm going to take my bow, and rather than having the bow in front like this, I'm just going to, you don't want to go this way or this way, this way. I'm just going to turn it and stick it under my greeting. So it looks kind of like that. And then we'll go ahead and put on our dimensionals. I felt like this method kind of helped my greeting stand out just a little bit more than having the bow underneath it. The bow disappeared, and also the greeting kind of disappeared, because you know there's a lot going on with this embossing folder and the vellum. So there's this. Isn't that sweet? I think it's just so sweet. I love this card. Well, not that I create other cards that I don't like, but I just think it's so pretty. Now, those of you that are, you know, perfectionists, you might not like this. Whoops, I don't want that. But we're going to go back to our tinsel gems, and I realize this is fresh freesia, but I think it blends okay. In fact, the inks blend beautifully. Fresh freesia ink and Moody Mauve is really beautiful together. So I'm going to grab a couple little gems. Again, these are the ones you get free if you put in a $50 order. Now, there's a time limit, so it's now through Sunday night. I think Sunday night is the 18th. So let's put a, maybe right here. So to get this whole card class free, all the supplies for it, and the PDF tutorial, you need to get your order in for $35 or more by Sunday night. And then if you put in a $50 order, you also get the gems. I'll send everything to you. And I've actually already ordered the gems, so hopefully I have ordered enough. And if I don't, then I just order more and send them to you. All right, what do you think of this one? I'm going to check my comments. Pretty? Oh, you like it. So happy you like it, everybody. I do too. I just love it too. All right, now we're going to do a technique now that, let me grab the cardstock. This, I know a lot of you, if you've been stamping for a while, a lot of you have already made a card like this, but it's always good to kind of review things. This is the quatrefoil tile embossing folder. Quatrefoil is a pattern that was prominent in, I think, French. Quatrefoil is a French word, so I'm guessing French. It's very tiny. I don't know if you can see the pattern. It's going to be hard to see the pattern. I'll hold it up, see if you can see it. This is not a 3D embossing folder, so we're going to do a little bit different than we did with our other embossing folders. We're going to grab back our machine, and we are going to, we're going to take off this plate, base 2, the 2 plate, taking that off. Now we're going to use both of our clear plates. Now I got to get this straightened around again. So you do want this to be straight. So there's a line here that you can line up, and you can't see it because I'm out of the picture. Always tricky to stay in the picture and then actually be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay. There. See it? Now I'll put one clear plate down, and then the folded edge in first, then we're going to run this through. Oh shoot, and I've got it going the wrong way. Well, let me go this way, because I'm right-handed. Let's just go backwards, see if we can do that. Yep. Well, backwards to me, because I usually go the other way. And I'm going to actually go through once again, because I really want that pattern to be prominent, because since this is not a 3D folder, I want to make sure you can see the pattern really well. So we'll pull this out. Using embossing folders was a game changer. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys something that you'll laugh, I'm sure. But when die cutting machines first came out, Stampin' Up came out with one called the Big Shot. And when I first saw them, I thought, I don't know that my people would ever use that. I really, you know, didn't see quite the significance of it. But I bought it because we sold it, and I didn't want to not have it to show customers. I was all in person at the time. And, you know, famous last words. Once I got it and started using it, I used it all the time, and of course I continue to use it all the time. But the biggest wow initially, what I was starting to say, the biggest wow initially was using embossing folders. So, because look at that beauty it just did to your paper. All right, so I'm going to start with Balmy Blue. We're going to use these colors, and we're going to just add on with brushing. Now, once I finish this one, honestly, I wish I had a little bit more time to go back and redo it a bit. So we're going to do this a little bit differently than I did my initial one. I'm going to use blending brushes because I think it would have shown up better with, let's do this side, with contrasting colors. Whoops, those are customer addresses, so let's go back to this side. We don't really need that to show. We have both these smaller brushes and then the larger ones, and I just store them in, they come in packs of 3, and they have a seal at the top, a Ziploc. So I just store them like this because I store them flat in a drawer. And I'm not too picky. I use some for blues and some for greens. I don't mix them up too much. Yellows and reds and oranges all are on the same brush. But you can have a color for every brush. I don't really think it's necessary. I mean, a brush for every color. I'm going to go ahead. This is Balmy Blue, and I'm going to just ink this up. And then I'm going to start off, and I'm going to go with my brush. So you can already see I'm putting a little more ink on this one than I put on my first one, and I'll show you when we get that far. So I think I'm just going to go darker. I think it'll show better what I'm trying to show. Starting off in the corner and then moving up. Okay, so can you see that? Yeah, you can see it. I think we could do just a little bit more. It's so pretty. So pretty. I just got this embossing folder. I was late getting it. It's been around a while. Isn't that pretty? So then I'm going to do an ombre effect. So my next color is going to be Lost Lagoon. That was Balmy Blue. I'm going to Lost Lagoon. Same thing, I'm going to ink it in. Now obviously I'm going to have a wider path for this one. And again, I'm going to brush it off. I don't want that glob of ink. And I'm going to start from the Balmy Blue, but I'm going to just work up. And this one is going to look pretty close to the Balmy Blue, but can you see the difference? Yeah, you can see the difference. And I'm going to actually make my brush go circular. I was kind of timid on my first time through. I'm going to go back to my Balmy Blue and kind of blend those together. And so you can't really see I'll show you my first one, but you can't really see the ombre as much. Then we're going to go to actually, I think I'm going to go to my darkest color at the top first. This is Shaded Spruce. This is Shaded Spruce here. I'm going to go in here like so. How many of you have done this technique before? That have just used your blending brushes to go over your embossing folders. It's such a wow technique, and it's so easy. I'm hoping I'm showing you things that anybody can do. Even if you're a brand new stamper and you're watching this, you can totally do this. Isn't that pretty? Okay, then we'll go to our pretty peacock. And this is turning out better than my first one. I'll show you my first one. You could tell I was being really careful and somewhat timid. This is pretty peacock. rub it in. Now I'm going to start from the green and go into the blue. Like so. Okay. Again, start from the green and go into the blue. And I'm kind of running it into the, there we go. I just think it's so pretty. I just love it. Now I used ombre colors, but you could use, you could use colors that when they blend together, they make a new color too. I thought about doing that for the video, but I thought, no, my samples are already made and I've already started my PDF, so I'm going to stick to pretty much what I started with, but just try and make it a little bit more pronounced. Now I'm taking a piece of Pretty Peacock and we're going to just mount this. This is, I think, 3.5 by 4 3/4. Yeah. And this will be just an 1/8 inch bigger than that. So let's go ahead and, I'm not watching your comments. My screen went blank. Okay. Martha, you have done this? Was that your answer to my question, that have you done this? The other thing you can do, and I saw a demonstrator recently do this, is they did swirls of color. So in that case, you want to have colors that once they touch each other, they're going to go with each other, and not cause brown or, ugly colors to happen. Now, in person, on the video, it looks a little bit more streaky. In fact, I'm going to go back with my Lost Lagoon. This is Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to fill that in just a touch there. Thank you, Martha. Okay, we're going to start off here, and I'm going to do this. I can see on a video that this looks more streaky than it looks in person. And I'm going to kind of blend that into the Pretty Peacock as well. There, I think that's a little bit better. And you could go back with the blue. I mean, you can play with this as much as you want to. Ideally, you would be doing all of this before you mounted it on your border piece. But I just want it to look nice in the video so that there we go. Again, it does look a little more streaky in the video than it actually looks in person, but we're going to go with that. So let's put it on our basic white thick card. This is 4.5 by 11, and it's scored in the middle at 5.5. Crease it with our bone folder. If you don't have one of these, well, you won't get one that says Center Stage. That was a special event I was invited to. But, say Stampin' Up. These are wonderful to have. I think I just got ink on my card. And then we're going to, I think that just, I don't know. I'm so in love with these cards I made today. I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you will try some of these things if you haven't done them before, or even if you have done them before. I hope I'm reminding you of things you can do to get more value out of the embossing folders that you already have. Because you can do this with any embossing folders. This would be a really technique to use with green leaves. We have one that's, make sure I've got this on right. You know what? I might put the darker. Let's do this. Let's put the darker color at the bottom. I think I like that just a little bit better. So we've got the dark at the bottom. All right, now we're going to go back and do our greeting the same way that I showed you to do the other. We'll do a little review of that. Process. So let me grab the congratulations die. This is the die that fits the congratulations stamp. This is the stamp we're going to use. Let me get that aside for a minute. Now we're going to make just a little. Have I already done that? Nope, that's our first one. Well, wait a minute. Maybe I've already done it here. Yeah, I did it here. So here, I just did this. I just cut it out like we did our other one. And then we'll just take some. I'll put that aside. Let's go ahead and take a piece of. Looks like this was my trial piece anyway. Let's go back like this. And I'm going to stamp it in Pretty Peacock. stamp. Congratulations. And pretty peacock. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. You can always message me. Oops, I got a little blurb there. Let's go back and try this again. Or even on YouTube, you can comment, and I see the comments and I always respond. If I have missed your comment on YouTube, it's only because I missed it, not because I didn't go back to see if there were people asking questions or needing help with something. All right, so we're going to line this up again like so. See how we can see so perfectly. If you didn't watch if you didn't know anything else that I've shown in this video, I hope you found something in this technique that can help you, because for me, it was pretty much mind-blowing, honestly. I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? Okay, so let's go. Just gonna get this tape down pretty good. You don't want to do all that work and then not have it do, you know, and then have it go haywire is what I probably should have said. Okay, so we'll line this up, and then we'll get our die. You can feel this line up, so you need to just feel it. See how it's not sliding? Because the original die cut is holding it in place. But for security, we're going to go ahead and tape it. We're going to just tape it to the cardstock like so. All right, it kind of looks like a hot mess, but again, trust the process because it's worth it. All right, here we go. Oops, I forgot to add back my plate number 2, I think. That's what happened. Yeah, okay, let me grab it. Grab plate number 2. If I haven't thanked you for joining me today, I'm really grateful that you spend your time with me. I value your time, and I know your time is valuable. So I am very grateful that you chose to spend some time with me today, whether you're watching live or you're watching replay. Okay, so now we'll just pull this off. And as one of the girls said, I think Barb Nelson said it on here, you can reuse these. So a lot of times I just pull them off, these pieces of tape. It's wanting to stick to this, but usually it doesn't stick that hard. And I just stick it on my machine. And then it's there to use in the future. We'll get our die out of here. And then here we go. Look how nice that looks. It's not up too high, it's not down too low, it's not too far to the left or the right. This is a game changer, my friends. A game changer for these little tiny dies. And, you know, I just love them, but I can't tell you how many times I've done them over or just decided, okay, I'm going to live with it even though I feel like it doesn't look the best. Now, the other thing I told you about was in this set of dies, there's also not only these 2 hearts, but there's a flower. And I've already die cut that flower out of shimmer paper. So this is one of the new shimmer papers. Let me actually grab that. I forgot to grab out my 6x6 samples. I don't want to lose this. But this is called soft shimmer specialty paper. And the colors are Pretty Peacock, Lost Lagoon, Berry Burst, and Night of Navy. I think that's what we have here. Oh, and we've also got fresh, no, that might be Bubble Bath. Let me check. Bubble Bath. Yeah, Bubble Bath. So you get all those colors, and you get 2 12x12 pieces of each of those. Aren't those gorgeous? So, so pretty. And I'd already die cut my little shimmery flower that I showed you the die. And we're ready to put that on. I'm gonna just grab, for this one, we definitely want mini dimensionals for this. A couple little pieces didn't come out. But now next week I'll be back. This is the last week of embossing folders, but we'll start something new next week. And remember, you can get this class, all the supplies for this class for free as a thanks for your $35 order. You also get the PDF tutorial. And if you're a paper hoarder, it's a great time to buy our designer series paper that isn't specialty paper because it's 15% off. But maybe you want to invest in a new embossing folder or something I've showed you today. It doesn't matter what your order is for. As long as you're using this host code by the end of Sunday, so Sunday night, then I'll be sending you all the card supplies, the PDF tutorial. Oops, this shows. We don't want that to show. Let's just actually tear that. And if you put in an order for $50 or more, again, using the host code, you will get also the embellishments we're using today. I'm going to put that, this shows too. I think I got in a hurry. There. We're good now. I think it's such a pretty flower. This flower would be really pretty cut out of vellum too. I also cut it out of Lost Lagoon. That's pretty too, but I didn't think it showed up enough for this particular card. So I'm going to go ahead now, and there's so many things this time of year that need a congratulations card. So this could be for a graduation, or it could be for a wedding, or it could be for a retirement, or any kind, it could be for any kind of acknowledgement of something that somebody has done that deserves a little extra attention. This isn't coming off. Sorry, I'm not looking at the comments. My screen went blank again, so I can pull it up and see if I can see you. Oh, thanks, Jackie. I'm glad you're doing it. Hi, Kathy. Glad you could join me. I want a tiny piece of, I'm actually going to cut this off. These scissors, they're not Stampin' Up, but they have a Teflon coating, so they don't stick to sticky things. I'm going to just poke that there. This is kind of long and skinny. The whole idea of this stamp set was like the first one that's similar to it, is that, you know, rather than us fussy cutting around all of this stuff, these tiny things, we can just die cut it. But the frustration is that what I showed you initially was that it was so hard to line them up because you have this skinny little greeting, and then you're trying to line up a skinny little die. So rather than being happy about it when you die cut it, well, I'll speak for myself. I was like, dang it. Oh no, do I do it over and maybe get the same result, maybe get a better result? Do I just leave it? I don't know. You want crafting to be fun, and you want to do as many things as you can to make it foolproof so that you're happy with it and you feel good about it and not frustrated. Because we've all been in our craft rooms where we've gone in, you know, expecting to have fun and have some joy, and you get frustrated. Anybody ever get frustrated with their cards or their stamping? Or you get a whole card done and you've got the greeting in your hand, and I'm trying to find my gems, and you drop a stamp on your card at the very end and you've got a splotch on the front of it. Anybody? I think we've all done that. So hopefully I've shown you some things that will kind of bulletproof your crafting with your embossing folders and your die cutting with these tiny dies. So I'm going to put a little, let's go ahead and, I just love these gems. There's another pack too that's called four pack. I think it's called Tinsel Gems 4-pack. Okay, it's a simple little card, but it has a really fun technique, and I hope that shows up well in the camera. Again, in the camera, it's just not showing quite as evenly. It's showing a little bit more stripy. But maybe I didn't make circles enough. So if you try this, try doing more circles instead of a cross like this. That probably would have eliminated that kind of streakiness. Again, it's not as prominent on the video. So you can see this one where I just did a much lighter touch. I mean, they're both pretty, but I don't think this doesn't show the ombre effect quite as much as this one, but they're both pretty. You can see the green and the blue and then the kind of in between. So it might just depend on who who you're giving it to or what you like in your cards. So here we go. Here's our 3 cards we made today. Made that one. And these 2. If you get the card kits, you will get this card cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 instead of like this one. So just heads up, this is what's in the PDF. So I want it to be exactly like the PDF so you know what you're doing. This one will probably have this photo in it, but you'll know that it's just the back side of this paper. So what do you think? Was that helpful? I would love to know. Oh, you're an expert, Martha, at dropping something on your card at the last minute or doing something that messes us up. Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Thanks, Kathy, everybody. I know it always takes a moment for comments to keep up. But thanks so much for watching. And again, if you're watching on replay, I always respond to my comments, so I invite you to comment as well. Let me know what you think on YouTube as well. Let me know what you think, what was helpful, what you'd like to see more of, is there anything that you want to know about your crafting products or how to do certain techniques. Please let me know, because I'm really here to just help you know what you want to know. I'm not here to just show stuff that you don't have any interest in, or techniques that you're not interested in. So just let me know. Let me bring it up here. I'm so glad you joined me today. Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Central Time is my normal time for YouTube or for Facebook Live, and then I put it on YouTube. So follow me on Facebook and on YouTube, and you can find my blog. Now I'm putting a lot more on my blog. It's a new one, and it's kind of it's not really as sophisticated as I like, but I am using it. So createwithjoey.com. You'll find me there. Everybody, thanks again. Take care. See you next time.